Many poker players believe that the river is the most important street because that's where the big money goes in. And that's not totally wrong, but I believe that pre-flop is even more important because you make a pre-flop decision in every single hand that you play, while you get to the river quite rarely. And if you make a mistake pre-flop, that will accumulate your losses on later streets. That's why I have dedicated this video to fixing a few pre-flop leaks that almost every poker player has. So let's introduce Andy, the poker plumber. He will fix these common pre-flop leaks. And make sure to watch until the end, because I'm going to show you an easy hack how to remember opening ranges. But for now, let's jump into the first mistake. Right, so let's start with a mistake that almost every player makes. I still see even studied regs make it, especially in live games. So we have 10-9 offsuit in the big blind, there is a raise, a call, another call, and here we are. What should we do with our 10-9 off? The answer is fold, muck, flush it down the toilet. Against good opponents, this is a losing play. And even against weak opponents, it is hard to make money. Yes, we could hit a straight, but we are out of position. And in a multi-way pot, it will be difficult to both realize our equity and get paid when we hit a monster. So just fold this hand. Here we can see it would be more profitable to call with 5 deuce suited than 10-9 offsuit, although it is not a big mistake to fold 5-2 suited here either. By the way, it gets even worse to call with this sort of hand in the small blind. The next mistake is also from the big blind, and I can almost guarantee that you make this mistake as well, because the solver recommendation just seems crazy. So let's have a look. So you have ace-queen offsuit in the big blind, and note that here we are 200 big blinds deep. There is an early position raise, a call, another call. Would you call or raise here now? Well, this was a trick question, because the solver folds here. Look at this. Against an early position raise with callers in between, when we are 200 big blinds deep, we just fold ace-queen offsuit. Only when the raise comes from a later position, like for example the hijack, do we raise with ace-queen offsuit. And as a general tip, when you're 200 big blinds deep, the solver hates 3-betting with offsuit hands except for ace-king offsuit, even in heads-up pots. Another one with ace-queen offsuit, but this time we open this hand in the low jack and we get 3-bet by the button. It folds back to us. What would you do? Well, you have two options here, but neither of them is calling. I think most players would call here, but as you can see, that would be a small mistake. So you can 4-bet as a bluff or just fold. Especially against tight opponents, I would definitely advocate folding. And what if you get raised by the big blind instead of the button? In that case, you don't even get to raise anymore. Folding is the only option here. Both calling and raising would be mistakes. This next one is very interesting because it is about the struggle between rational thinking and emotions. We get dealt our cards, we see pocket jacks, the hooks, we are excited, but then under the gun raises and under the gun +1 re-raises. At this point, many players will have become so emotionally attached to their pocket jacks that they don't consider folding. Cold calling a 3-bet is not advisable, so what do? They cold 4-bet. But this is a mistake. If the raise and the re-raise happen in such early positions, jacks are a pure fold. And even when the low jack opens and the high jack 3 bets, the solver mixes folds and raises with jacks in the cutoff or on the button, and also in the small blind and big blind. So don't get emotionally attached to your jacks. The hand is worse than you think it is, and we will have another example later on that will show this. And now, off to something that should be an easy one, but for many players it is not. You get dealt ace-jack offsuit under the gun in an 8-handed game. I am certain that unless you are a total nit, you will open this hand. And you might even open ace-10 offsuit. But as we can see here in the GTO opening charts, opening either of these hands would be a mistake. Ace-queen offsuit is the lowest offsuit ace that we should open. You might say that you play in live low-stakes games and that you have an edge over your opponents and therefore you like to open these hands. But that is an even bigger mistake, because look what tends to happen in live low-stakes games. You open and almost everyone calls you. Now you have to play a 6-way pot with ace-jack offsuit out of position. And if the flop comes ace-7 rainbow or something similar, do you feel confident to go for 3 streets of value here or to call down 3 barrels? That's why. Just ditch these hands pre-flop, even though they look pretty. The next one is a very big one, and I can almost guarantee that you make this mistake. We raise pocket jacks, there is a field caller, and we get squeezed. Should we 4-bet here or just call? You guessed it, another trick question. The answer is simply fold. If there weren't any field caller in between, we would call here. But because of the caller, the squeeze size is now bigger than it would be without the caller, and we just aren't getting the right price to call. In live games where players are passive and don't 3-bet enough, this becomes even more of a fold. I must have leaked tons of money over the years by flatting jacks in this spot, and I'm sure you did too. Be smarter in future. And now off to the last hand, and this is kind of the exact opposite. We raise a hand like 5-6 suited or 7-6 suited, 8-7 suited. These are only optional raises, but it's good to mix it up sometimes. And now in this case, we get 3-bet once again. Now this is not a total disaster if you fold here, but as you can see, you would lose a bit of value. So this is absolutely a call. By the way, the lower the suited connector, the higher the EV of the hand. So 5-4 suited is better than 6-5 suited, which is better than 7-6 suited, and so on. So get into the habit of calling these small suited connectors to 3-bets, whether you are in position or out of position. It doesn't matter. And funnily enough, it is even higher EV to call pocket deuces in this spot than to call pocket tens. I'm sure you didn't think that that would be the case, and until not long ago, I wouldn't have thought so either. And now, as promised, I'm going to show you a little hack how to remember opening ranges. Instead of remembering every single opening hand in every single position, you can just remember general parameters. For example, say you want to know what hands to open on the button, look at this chart. You open all offsuit 9s and all suited 6s, and then a little bit more on the fringes like unsuited aces and suited kings and queens. In the cutoff, it's offsuit 10s and suited 7s, plus a little bit more as well. In the hijack, it's jacks and 9s, and so on. This is not super exact, but gives you a ballpark. And if you accidentally fold a fringe hand, that's not a problem, because those hands are 0 EV anyway. Same if you open a hand that is slightly outside the actual opening range. And this same system also works for tournaments. So give it a try. I hope you've learned a thing or two in this video, and if you would like more of this, please hit that subscribe button. The Poker Plumber will thank you.